Hello, everybody. I am here to welcome all of you awesome GDCers, my fellow GDC UX goblins, and I am here to talk about the elephant in the room, right? What the is UX, right? Okay, so, who am I to tell you this? Who the F am I, right? Why are you here to hear me talk, right? So my name is Samus Wolfe. I am the senior UX researcher at the Able Gamers charity, which, by the way, at the end of this slideshow, I'll have a code word for you. And if you go to our website, which is also at the end of this slideshow, you can enter your name to win some super cool swag. So keep your eye out for that. I'm also a mentor at Springboard. I'm a feral UX engineer. You can see me out in the wild doing UX things. I have a master's degree in user experience design. And I have over 7 years of UX job experience specifically. I'm a druid, I'm an animal wrangler, I'm a horse girl, which is a gender neutral term as far as I'm concerned. And what ho, a UX unicorn. Right? The mythical, the magical. So I don't really advertise myself as like professionally a UX unicorn, which is kind of cringe to begin with, but also because I don't really resonate with being a unicorn either. And the reason of this is the state of the UX job market. So to be frank, UX job market, it sucks. It's just kind of a mess, right? So being a unicorn, or what really you are as an experienced generalist, is not the flex that people think it is. And it's a huge cause of burnout in the industry, which I'm going to kind of touch on. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my journey, right? So prior to Able Gamers, I started as a graphics specialist. I moved into web development. I moved into being a UX professional. Then I became a full stack developer, and finally a UX engineer. So I worked and UX'd in a lot of non-gaming related industries. I did fintech, I did banking, I did industrial stuff, I worked for nonprofits. You get the picture? Lots of different things. As you can see, definitely not on the Skyrim map, right? Okay. Because of my background in web development and then full stack development eventually, visual design, and also UX, I was very successful in my roles. You know, I could do everything, right? So I worked on a lot of projects end to end. And here's the thing. This is my toxic trait. I loved it. I loved doing that. I loved being at the beginning with ideation and at the end with development and release. I absolutely had the time of my freaking life, okay? So besides being passionate about gaming, I had no experience in the gaming industry. I came into the gaming industry freshly out of being a designer and developer for an industrial enterprise setting. So besides being passionate about gaming and, improving that end user experience, when I started interviewing for roles in studios, the hardest part of that for me was proving that I was a good fit for the field and that I could understand gaming industry specific challenges and also solve them, right? So the job market, as I've listed here, there's a couple of things that I'm going to sort of touch on and discuss with you guys. So being a unicorn or an advanced or experienced generalist, it opens a lot of doors. I know the process from beginning to end. Like I said, I've done the ideation, the research, the idea pitching, the wireframing, the magic, the design, sorcery, all of that stuff. I was project managing all of these projects as well. As you can imagine, that was a lot. It was super fun. I loved it. But the pros did not outweigh the cons. And in the end, the cons snuck up on me like Solid Snake. He was there. I burned out real bad. I became stressed, finally had a reason to stress eat. You're just like, yeah, that mac and cheese, 5 boxes, it's fun. I really just couldn't do it anymore. I decided that I wanted to focus on one role, one UX role. I was just like, just pick one. Take your hand out of all the cookie jars, pick one role. And I've been a super happy researcher since, loving my work with the Able Gamers charity. So here's the thing. The job market is riddled with UX generalist positions. They're all looking for unicorns. And these are masquerading as different things. So even positions that are meant to focus on a single role, they end up having attributes and are misdirected or bloated with conflicting attributes of other parts of UX. And companies just don't know how to hire a UX professional or look for a UX professional. So it falls on us to figure out where our next gig is and how to translate the job description into something that makes sense. So what is a UX professional? You might ask yourself, well, wait, I've only heard of UX designers or product designers. What is the other stuff you're talking about, Samus? You're crazy. So there's a ton of names, right? A rose by any other name is just smell sweeter, whatever the Romeo and Juliet says. There's all these titles and even more. It's kind of a lot. It's kind of overwhelming. Don't really know what to do with all these names, right? Sometimes you just look at them and disassociate for hours. At least that's what I do. So here's the thing. I define UX professionalism with 3 things, okay? And this is something I talk to my mentees about quite often. One is kind of the objective thing. You're a professional who incorporates or manages feedback directly or indirectly into the product lifecycle. 2, you're an empathetic human being who cares deeply about the end user of your product. However, the most important point is number 3, someone who has the desire to use technology for good. This, I tell every single one of my students the minute they meet me as their mentor that this is the most important thing, because there's a ton about the industry that really gets caught up in this mess of chaotic stuff in the beginning, and we really don't talk about how important it is to use technology for good and how that's a huge part of UX, right? So people who want to break in the gaming industry, it's hard to do that with all this competition, right? So UX folks, here's the thing. We don't necessarily have the same experience in our background as other people in the gaming industry. For example, software development, project management, illustration and design, all of that stuff that makes up other parts of gaming studios. There's a lot more direct formal education paths than UX. Don't get me wrong, I have a master's degree in user experience design, and I absolutely loved my program. I would recommend a master's degree to anyone, but also I understand that it's kind of a rare thing now. There's a ton of UX professionals out there who have formal education and training, who have been around for a long time, but usually what happens is to learn about UX, you are in an adjacent industry, and then you hear from your brother's, girlfriend's, dog groomer's best friend that UX exists, right? So it's kind of something that you stumble upon rather than you hear about in high school. So here's the thing, and I bring up the Nielsen-Norman group because, as we all do as UXers, love the Nielsen-Norman group. They have this awesome chart of how many UX professionals, just UX professionals, the whole thing, there are in the world. So we're in the 2020 range, or at least I think we are, times a soup. And so Nielsen-Norman says that there's about maybe 1 million UX professionals in the world right now. Okay, sounds like a big number, right? You're just kind of like, that's a lot, Samus. What are you talking about? We don't need any more UX people. Here's the thing, software engineers. I believe that UX is kind of a one-to-one with software engineering. In the USA alone, there's almost 4.5 million. That's a lot. And in the world, there's almost 27 million. Where's all the UX people, guys? Come on. Where are we at? So now, we all love personas, right? We're all jazzed. We're all going to be doing some job hunting. We got a persona. They're ready to go. This is where I'm going to have you guys come in. I'm going to ask y'all some questions, and hopefully we're going to get the ball rolling on some job hunting. So let's describe our persona, right? Okay. They're motivated by pivoting from their current industry. They're not happy with their current industry. They're just like, I want to leave. They want to work for a game studio because they like games. They need to find the right position for them, right? Because there's a ton and it's kind of a soup out there. They want to understand the UX industry better because they are pivoting. Their pain points are the vagueness of the industry and the rejections, as we have all had. from the gaming industry because they don't have experience. That's painful. All right, and then there's the other stuff. Okay, so they're female. She's a scientist. She's always caffeinated. She's goth. Yeah, it's Abby. So Abby has decided that being a forensic scientist is super cool and everything, but she has all of these talents in interviewing and computer science and analyzing human behavior and just really sexy UX traits, right? So Abby's decided that NCS is dumb and boring and she's gonna leave. She's ready to get away from the Navy, which she does in 2018, so this is fine. She has a career gap. It's okay, though. And she is wanting to become a UX researcher for the video game industry. She plays MMO, she plays first-person shooters. She thinks of herself as a well-qualified person to become an expert in the gaming user experience division. So Abby's scrolling through Indeed, as we all do, you know, in bed. That's doom scrolling for me, at least sometimes. Don't doom scroll TikTok, doom scroll Indeed. And she comes across a few job listings that she's interested in. Here's the thing. Abby wants to work primarily as a researcher. That's where she feels she shines. So while she can do the enhance, unlike the picture that has 2 pixels, and like design and photoshopping, and she can do hacking and coding, what can't she do really? Let's just be honest. She doesn't want that to be the main part of her role. Like, it's fine if it's a part of it, but she wants to primarily do research. And she also wants to be involved directly with users and analyzing their behavior because she thinks that's just super freaking cool. So here are the companies that the jobs we're going to be looking at have come from. Job number 1. It's called UX researcher. She probably liked it because it's called UX researcher, right? So I'm going to ask you guys, on this job description, what do you guys think is a red flag? You shout it out. 3 years of experience, okay? What? Agile, okay, thank you, yes. Anybody else? Just a UX portfolio. Yeah, okay.
Bachelor's degree in psychology.
Yeah, okay. Anyone else? Masters preferred. Yeah, okay, so Big Games Inc. is a AAA studio creating strategic FPS games in the franchises Big Battles and Bang Bang Shoot Shoot. They're looking for someone with a whole lot of things, huh? You know, 3 years of experience. I'm going to be honest, I'm sorry, recruiters out there. I tell all of my students to ignore that. I'm just like, nah, we're not even going to look at that. That's not a real number. Bye. And I'll talk about why later. But additionally, somebody mentioned UX portfolio. What does that mean? Like, so this is a researcher position, so case studies? Do you want case studies? Do you want prototypes? What if I don't have prototypes? What do you want? That's really vague, and that kind of makes me nervous that they don't know what a UX researcher does. Somebody said, manage agile efforts. Why is a researcher doing that? They should not be doing that. And the thing is, while these job listings are fake, all of the attributes of these job listings have come from real ones. So, master's degree preferred. In research, I've seen this, and you know, I get it. But at the same time, when it's an entry-level position, it's a little goofy, in my opinion. So basically, Abby looks at this and she's just like, nah, we ain't doing that. So now, everybody, what do you think about this job position? Red flags. Anyone?
CSS3 HTML5 JavaScript.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Anybody else? What was that? Product design specialist. Yes. Anyone else? Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? All right. So the first big red flag here is understanding of CSS3, HTML5, and JavaScript. I mean, why? So and I can tell you as a in my like current state of being, I have no idea, but a lot of like even outside of gaming, I've seen a lot of like UX roles be described as like, please have these, coding things, like know how to code. And I'm like, for what? What am I doing? What am I coding? Why? No. So that's a red flag for me. Like, I'm just like, nah, I don't want to be doing coding. Abby doesn't want to do code. She wants to do research and potentially some design. So that's a no. The next thing is somebody mentioned end-to-end research projects. Like, in theory, okay. But also, what does that mean? Like, end-to-end of the project lifecycle in its, entirety? Or, like, are we doing the research, projecting the methodologies, synthesizing the data? Like, what does that mean? And then additionally, the title, product design specialist. This is a real title, you guys. I found this in the wild. What is that? Like, I like looked at it for like 5 whole minutes and like sipped my definitely alcoholic drink at the time. And I said, that isn't real. Like, don't get me wrong. I like having cool titles. I made a really cool title for myself when I was in my undergrad. I think it was interactive and learning, teaching, design specialist or something. It was absolutely wild. But, I was like 20 then. I doubt that the person who made that title is 20. So, all right. Abby's like, nah, this is too much. Please, next one. Okay. So she's getting a little desperate now. She's looking into the adjacent roles. UX UI designer. Okay, by We Make Games LLC. So this is a smaller company. They have a bunch of different projects, from roguelikes to racing to card games to mobile titles, right? Okay. What are the red flags here? Everybody's just like, why the code? By the way, I definitely copied and pasted that directly from a job description. Yeah. So, okay, code. What else? Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of things to be doing, right? Okay. Anybody else? No, we don't need that in user experience. Didn't you get the memo? What about everybody else? Come on. Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to champion new ideas to the scary bigwigs that give you the money? You don't want to be in charge of that as a UX UI designer? How dare? All right. What was that? The next best thing. That one I love because I've seen that in a few job descriptions and I'm just like, what does that mean? Like, what am I in charge of? Like, solving world hunger? Like, please don't put that on me. So Abby's looking at this and Abby's like, wow, this is really intense. Like, what on God's green earth am I going to do if I even get an interview with this company because they're scary? So, I would say the same, like I wouldn't apply to this. This sounds like it's 10 jobs rolled into one. That's way too much work. Job number 4. Okay, this is our last job. I'm not saying there's not red flags, but what do you guys think would potentially be the problems here? Strong attention to detail. That is real vague. Like Anybody else? Yeah. 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 Who knows, man? Maybe you're sitting in the same room and looking at it, huh? Anybody else? Yep, development life cycle. Okay. Anyone else? Yeah, that is kind of weird. It sounds like this recruiter didn't really know what they were looking for, right? This kind of sounds like they Googled UX designer and they just kind of copied some stuff off of Google. All right. Yeah, we can definitely see that. And it makes sense because Indie Girl Games is a small startup. They don't know what they're looking for, really. They want to produce really awesome romance sims, and this is definitely not influenced by my favorite genre of game. And they want to have new and original stories that anyone can enjoy. So they're a startup, they're baby, they don't know what they want. But this job matches Abby the closest for her, not only her interests, but her skills. And we're going to kind of talk about that. So here's the thing. The next part of this, after you identify the job that you're like vibing with, right? You have to sell yourself. We as UX professionals have to advocate for ourselves. We have a lot of skills. People who were in adjacent industries and then they find interest in UX, the thing about that is we do have a lot of skills that translate. And I think a lot of people get caught up with the fact that it's not like a one-to-one exactly. So guess what, guys? Self-validation. It's very important. This took me many, many years to hone, and I'm not perfect at it either. I need to think about it sometimes, and when I feel that imposter syndrome creeping up, I need to sit down and sort of count my blessings and remember that, like I am good at what I do. And Abby is empathetic. There are many episodes that she's shown caring deeply for her team members. She wants to, she wants to get the people who are innocent out. She wants to find the bad guys. She has a lot of passion for, humans, which again, what's number 3? Somebody who wants to use tech for good, right? So she has a lot of experience. Like she's very talented and skilled as an individual. And a lot of this is on other tech sectors. So now what we need to do when we're formulating our resumes is we need to put this through a lens of UX, put our experience through the lens of what a user experience professional would do, and then also relate it to how you would approach the gaming industry. Right? We need to show those strengths. We need to make them shine. So this is her first resume. So I would say, and actually, you know what? Take a look at this. What do you think Abby could do to make it better? And it's okay if you don't know. I can tell you.
I think she needs to be more concise on her skills.
More concise? Yeah. Okay. Grammar mistakes, yeah. Okay, that's me. I also do tell all of my students to use Grammarly, which I clearly did not do, despite having a Grammarly business account. It's fine, don't worry about it. But yes, you're right.
Not to be too cynical, but did she make sure to take this from the job posting instead of writing it herself?
Whoa, that's newfangled technology there, friend. But not in this one. No, she didn't. So yeah, the bullet points aren't goal-oriented. Like that's important as well. It's you. Oh, both of you. You first, and then you. Yep, bio doesn't show a lot of interest in UX. Yep. Right, yeah, putting the focus on that, right.
I understand that it's true, but I feel about it as a recruiter, I would see expertise in ballistics.
Oh no, a recruiter's in here.
No, I'm not a recruiter myself.
Oh, okay, right, yes.
I would see expertise in ballistics and be like, that's really scary.
That is really scary. It's kind of intimidating, right?
Yeah. If she doesn't want to be doing code, then why is she talking about how she's skilled in several programming?
Yeah, I know, it's a flex.
Like, yeah, you can say that you're good at those, and you can be good at those, but if it's not what you want to do, then maybe you shouldn't bring that up so that it doesn't get rolled into your job while you're in the interview.
Yeah, yep, that's a good point.
Skills aren't organized by relevance to the position.
Yeah, yep, I would say so too. All right, so in interest of time, because Abby does redo her resume, even though this resume is super impressive, right? It has nothing to do with the UX position, which we brought up. Hey, maybe you should talk about like what's in the job experience itself. So Abby revises her bio a little bit. She talks about having expertise in various research methodologies instead of ballistics, instead of all that stuff. She talks about software development. It's a lot vaguer now. And also compiling and synthesizing highly sensitive research results. We took out the ballistics thing because that is super scary. And we kind of put in like, okay, interviewing and questioning, you know, worked alongside IT departments as a full stack dev. Maybe that's a bit too much information, but it also lends credibility to, you know, she knows these things and she's proud of knowing these things and she understands how to talk to developers. Created graphics, animations, and designs for internal and external procedures. She elevated her certificate in UX design above her bachelor's, and she also revised her skills to be more understanding of the job position itself. So all of this, right? What does it mean? What does this mean? If you're here at GDC, you want to help make the gaming community and industry a better place. So regardless of the title that you have, the impact lies in the actions that you perform. If you are okay with having the title of UX designer, if the job includes generalism and encompasses the life cycle of a product, that's fine. But maybe that UI UX job is primarily UI with a little UX sprinkled in, and you think that's great. It's not about, like, I'm not saying don't do these jobs. Don't pick the jobs that have weird titles and, you know, like have generalism in them. It's all about what you want to do, but you just want to be informed and you want to understand, okay, like, what am I going to ask in that interview? What am I going to ask the team if I get past the recruiter phone call? You know, like, am I going to ask about my role or like how relevant, you know, HTML and CSS3 is for a researcher? Why is it in the position listing? You know, all those things. So I'm hoping that I've equipped you a little bit with another perspective on job hunting in the UX world. And the key takeaways: believe in your experience, tell your story, create empathy. All of this should sound familiar if you're a UX person. Show that you want to be a part of the crowd using tech for good, and don't give up. That's the biggest thing. Don't give up. You will find a job out there. You will. You just have to look for the perfect position. You have to really sell yourself, and you have to want to use tech for good. So thanks. My code word is Metroid. Bet you didn't see that coming. And there's all the URLs for our adjacent services at the Able Gamers charity. I am, again, the senior UX researcher, so please take a look at those. Go to GDC 2023 to enter the code to win a swag bag. Feel free to email me for whatever, you know, gossip. I'm here for that. And follow me on Twitter and find me on LinkedIn. Thank you guys so much. And I know that we have 3 minutes for questions, so I'll take like 2. Oh. Also, fill out your evaluation forms, but be really nice because I'm fragile. Not fragile, no. I'm not French or Italian, whatever that is. Anyways, yeah, so I will also be in the hallway after this, but I'll take like a quick question if anybody has one. Wow, everybody's leaving, I'm sorry. Right, yes, it's true, very, very true. Well, thank you so much, you guys. Again, I'll be in the hallway if you guys want to chat with me, and have a good GDC.